Hi,
Hello.
here we are,
I'm back again.
tag team. Do you know what episode number this is?
10, 11? Are we up higher? 12?
12.
Hmm.
This is number 12. How do you feel? You remember the first series of goes at this?
I remember the about 12 attempts at
Yeah,
making an intro, yeah.
right.
But we surpassed that for sure.
For sure.
I feel all right.
Great.
I think we're having fun
Yeah, I
doing
do
this
too.
stuff.
Doing this stuff.
How do you feel?
I feel good. I feel good. I feel good. We got, big news. We're on Spotify,
Yeah.
Apple Music.
Hmm.
It's the what I think are the better
Yeah, there's
episodes.
a couple up.
It's 4 of them up. And if, there's any sort of listenership,
Hmm.
is that how you say that?
Hmm.
All right, cool. Well, I'll keep doing it. If not, I'll take them down because I don't want to pay for it. So go check us out there. The link is in the description.
Yep.
And we'll jump into today's episode of Useless Philosophy. Do you have your thing?
Yes.
Oh, you hesitated.
Hmm.
I have my thing.
I had a thing, and then we came back, and I don't remember what it was.
Oh.
I'll get there.
Okay. All right. We'll jog your memory. Do you want me to go first then?
Sure.
Oh, I will. All right. We'll be right back and we'll see you when we get there.
Okay.
All right. We're here to encourage you to like,
Share
comment,
and subscribe.
hit the bell for notifications.
Ding.
Do all of those things for us, please.
And thank you.
We'll continue to bring you this super fun philosophical content. Useless for everyone.
Mm-hmm. All the buttons.
Hit all the buttons. We'll see you on the other side. I winked. That was weird.
Bye. Anything that irks me, I talk about. People fascinate me and the choices that they decide to make.
Anything else you'd like to say about it?
Nah.
Fair enough.
Today, we are going to talk about YouTube debate shows.
Ooh.
You know,
Okay.
my algorithm is in shambles
Oh.
because I clicked on one thing and then I clicked on one other thing, and now it's a mess. But essentially, this one particular YouTube debate show that I watched is about one person who is for or against something,
Mm-hmm.
and then 20-ish others that are for or against the other side.
Of that one thing.
Yeah. What I disliked about it, and what I dislike about most of these debate shows,
Mm-hmm.
is that everybody loses the point.
Yeah.
Because what we've talked about in a previous episode is that you don't debate the topic, you debate like words and semantics and that sort of thing. And so they just kind of spiral out of control.
You don't argue the conclusion, you argue the
Yeah.
premise.
And so what is even what's wilder about this particular show is that one person sits in the chair and talks to the guest.
Mm-hmm.
The other 19 still get to sit there. They all have little flags.
Oh, good.
If
Props.
if they don't like what is transpiring, they raise a flag. If the majority of the flags go up, that person who sat down loses their time, like loses their spot. The time still remains that was left, and then someone else gets to come and continue on with that topic. And then at the very end, the guest picks one person to debate for 10 minutes.
Does anybody move in these debate shows that you're watching?
I've watched two.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the Dr. Mike one, and then I watched one about an atheist surrounded by
Okay.
religious people. I think the majority of it was Christianity. And from what I've
Way to stack the deck. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
From what I have seen, no. Most of them aren't swayed. But there were some that were like, they were who they were. And they were like, I'm glad that the guest saw what I had to say and he or they changed their opinion because of what I said to them. It's like, that didn't happen. But the debate shows in particular, it's like why? You're just doing it to hate watch, is what you're doing.
Take us out, sir.
This has been David's Diatribe.
Not at all hot take, a lukewarm look at something that has happened that I'm like, I would like to offer my 2 cents on that subject. Let's take a lukewarm look at something nonsensical and fun. I want to talk about the 1996 Women's Olympic Gymnastics team.
Okay. Is this the, well, no.
Decades
Is this
after
no, that was the 80s with the lady on the vault who janked her leg up?
Yes, this is it.
That's that? Okay.
Yes. So, the 1996 Women's Olympic Gymnastic team, there had been a rivalry with Russia and Romania for eons.
Yeah.
They'd never won a gold medal, right? So, they get this like all-star team together and they send them down to Bella Caroli, ranch, and he just like trains the ever-living crap out of them, right? They're breaking bones, they're doing all sorts of things. They've got stress fractures in there, none of them are eating. And
they've got a Rocky IV montage going.
Yes, these young women, led by Amanda Borden, was the team captain. Amanda Borden, Jenna Miller, Dominique Dawes, Stacey Phelps, Amy Chow, Carrie Strug.
Bueller.
I have to Google.
Google.
I have to.
Intermission. Do 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 do.
Dominique Luciano. Oh my gosh. Because she was the little tiny phenom. She was like 14 years old. Crazy. They go through the whole competition. They're in Atlanta. They're in their home turf kind of thing. And they are just killing it. Doing an amazing job. Anyway, the team final, they get up to the vault and all of them start falling down, leading up to Carrie Strug's vault. Carrie Strug was a little tiny thing, red hair. And so she runs and does her, because they get 2 passes at the ball. She runs and does her first ball. She falls on her first pass. And she's clearly injured.
Yeah.
Like she's like crawling off the mat.
She cranked her knee or ankle or something.
Yeah, I think it was her ankle. But she's walking back down. Nobody assesses her.
Yeah.
Nobody, nothing.
Nope.
They're just like, you go, you can do it, you can do it. And it's like, holy crap, what are you doing? If anybody had taken 5 seconds to run the numbers, she didn't have to vault. They had already won. She blew the rest of the competition. She had qualified for the all-arounds. She didn't get to compete after that. She could have won an individual gold medal, and she was slated to, but they made her vault on a broken leg. And then she's like the hero of the Olympics. 30 years later, they're looking at that event very differently.
Sure.
And that's because nobody had any time to do it. It wasn't until much, much later that people were sitting down like, you didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
Look at this. They would have dropped her score and her score would have elevated. They would have won. Like they had already won. Like what is that fever pitch of like, you have to die for your sport? That's less prevalent today, but that's because a lot of people made some really, really tough sacrifices.
Yeah.
Especially in women's gymnastics. My take on it is I feel very something. I don't feel bad for them because I don't feel like any of them would want my pity. But it's like, man, I really also hate that you missed that opportunity for yourself, for a sacrifice you did not have to make for the team.
True.
That had already won.
He nailed that vault on one leg.
Can you imagine landing a vault in your forward facing? So there's 2 different ways you can land. Is you can spot the ground as you land, or you kind of like flip forward and you don't see the ground. So you just have to wait for your legs to go. She could not see the ground. Like, oh, I got one leg. I ran this whole way and now this one's not working. And she stuck it on one fucking leg. Excuse my mouth. It's very exciting. Yeah. Anyway, that's my take on it. Be nicer to your athletes.
For sure. Yeah.
This has been my not at all hot take on the 1996 women's gymnastics team. You never know what the main topic is.
I never do.
You like it that way.
I do.
It surprises you, excites you.
Excites, intrigues. I don't know if it ever shocks me.
Well, that'll be my goal, is to shock you.
Eh?
So welcome to the main topic.
Mhm.
I see you can see I'm hesitating.
Yeah. I don't know what the main topic is.
No, do you ever know what the main topic is?
I do not.
No, you don't. I want to talk about this one,
Mm-hmm.
but I also want to pretend like there's no cameras or recording equipment here,
Okay.
because that's the only way we're going to talk about it for real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's talk about sex, baby.
All right. You and me?
So, listen.
Mm-hmm.
I think I said in a previous episode, at some point or another, pretty much every human being is going to have sex.
Hopefully.
It is a biological function.
Mm-hmm.
It's how we procreate.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a damn good time.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. What is your just general
Mm-hmm.
philosophy
Mm-hmm.
on sex? Like intercourse. I'm not talking about like genders or anything like that. I'm talking about sex between two humans.
Mm-hmm.
Like what do you think about it? What forms your thoughts about it?
I mean, that's kind of an interesting question. So I got the birds and the bees talk, but it was very basic. It was like, hey, you're at that age now where you're probably gonna
How old were you? Do you remember?
I think I might have been 12, 13, something like that.
Okay.
And my dad talked to me,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, hey, you're probably feeling certain things.
Yeah.
It's okay to, something along the lines of, it's okay to do like hands stuff, like over the shirt,
Oh, okay.
but we don't want to go any further than that.
Okay. And he assumed you knew what he meant? Or
Yeah.
He was
Well, I mean, we had taken sex ed class,
okay.
so we knew the general ideas and nomenclature for things.
Okay.
I was a young lad, so I knew about porn and all of that stuff.
Like where does one learn about porn?
I learned about porn from a collection that was around
in your house. Okay.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about porn.
Yeah.
Probably until I was 18. Like nothing. I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's the sex ed that I had.
But was the sex ed not class?
No, sex ed was a thing. They were called maturation classes.
Okay.
And I received my sex ed, I guess, in New York before I moved here. It was 4th grade. I remember it vividly, but it just talked about like periods and puberty. We didn't talk about sex.
Penetration.
No, none of that. It was just about like, this is how your body works and this is going to happen to you. And the boys went into a different room. So
Sure.
what they talked about, I don't know.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you. But certainly nobody talked about porn. Like,
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And if it was in my house, when I became aware of it, it was because my brothers had found something. But before that, I didn't realize like people recorded themselves having sex. Like what?
Yeah.
Huh? But the thing about it was when I knew about porn, I had already been having sex for 3 years.
Sure.
But this is how backwards and crazy and silly it is. So you learned about sex from your dad, your parents, I'd say your dad, when you were pubescent
I was young, yeah.
boy. How did you view sex as you came into like the age of maturity and like started experiencing sex?
It was interesting because I had ideas of what it was supposed to be like.
Right.
And I had an idea that I was probably not going to be good at it initially because, TV movies that, the first time is going to be bad, blah, 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 blah. And so when it did happen, I was like, oh, okay, like that's cool.
Yeah.
Like that was neat. As you get older, you learn about, consent and everybody having a good time, and it's okay for stuff to be weird.
Yeah.
As long as everyone is enjoying themselves, and it's okay to say no about certain things.
Right.
It's okay to stop in the middle of it. All of that stuff.
Yeah. So it was just formed from that first conversation. You knew about porn, and then your just experiences shaped
Yeah, like I knew about
the
porn.
rest
I
of
knew
it.
what I had an idea of what was expected. And then as you
From porn?
from porn, just like the mechanics of it.
Oh, okay.
And then as you are introduced to it,
Hmm.
you learn, what is actual reality and what is
Right.
entertainment.
Right. Did you ever get the sense that your parents had an opinion on your sexual maturity?
On mine,
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain they I mean, I think that they
It's
would,
incredibly hard to fluster you, and that I
yeah,
think is as close as you get.
I think that they would feel the same way that any parent would
Which is how?
when a kid is getting ready to have sex.
Yeah.
And that would be like, oh no,
Yeah.
we've got to deal with this now.
I've got to figure out a way to be either okay with this or find a way to stop it
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I, I assume that's how that went.
Hmm.
We never really chatted about it.
Yeah. Do you wish you would
I mean,
have?
I got into the military and
Oh, yeah.
left and came back. And so they were like, oh, we probably need to let him be a person because he's been to war and stuff. So, my mom is still my mom and she's
Yeah.
still going to, act the way a mom
Oh,
acts.
for sure.
But yeah, I think once I got back, I think even when boot camp was over, they were like, "Oh, okay, it's a little different now.
Yeah.
We need to maybe let go
You're
of some stuff."
changed.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it was really the the ball was put in your court,
yeah,
and you just kind of explored how you felt comfortable doing,
hmm
and you learned about, connection and body language and that sort of thing, and that shaped your outlook on sex or your philosophy on
a
sex.
philosophy on sex. Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause I am comfortable in the things that I like,
Uh-huh.
but I also want to be cognizant of the other party's feelings and behavior and mood.
Um,
But I know that that is a different scenario entirely for your gender. But for me in particular, it was, I need to be cognizant of the other party.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I understand. How do you think that will shape your fatherhood?
I think the difference is that you are my partner
Mm-hmm.
and you have been very vocal.
Are you upset that like we're kind of locked in to my take on it
No.
with the kids? I scream about it all the time.
Yeah.
And just to sort of desensitize them to it. Like I don't want them to ever be ashamed about it.
Yeah.
I mean, the enthusiastic consent dance, everybody does it.
Well,
Let's
yeah.
go.
I mean, I think maybe that's a better way to look at it is that like the points that we are trying to get across to them
Yeah.
is not gender exclusive.
Yes.
Like that, it could be given to a female or a male.
Right.
It's all the same kind of stuff that everybody needs to be aware of.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think that it's I don't feel as though we're locked in
Right.
to anything because it makes sense.
It's just kind of a universal concept.
Yeah. It's things that I wish I would have known a little bit sooner when I was younger.
Yeah.
Because it's stuff that
Same.
I had to learn,
Yeah.
and that's scary to learn in the field.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and that's like my philosophy around it is like my experience. Obviously, your experience has shaped you, my experience has shaped me.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. Nobody ever talked about it.
Mm.
Nobody, like, I was explicitly told, don't have sex. It's awful. You will hate it and you'll get pregnant and die of
Yeah.
AIDS. Like,
Well, and I didn't have a religious upbringing, and
see,
you kind of did.
this is, yeah, that's the thing
Yeah.
is I didn't,
No.
but then I did, I'm not quite sure how it evolved the way that it did.
Sure.
But there was no sex talk. And so
None
none.
out of the five of you. None.
None.
Hmm.
No. If my brothers got something that we didn't, I can't imagine that was the case, but maybe. I have no idea. No clue.
Maybe.
When I was a teenager, early teenager, I'll say, my there's no two ways around this. My older sister um, reached sexual maturity, I
Mm,
guess you would say, and I had written about it in a diary.
mm,
And my sister wasn't telling me anything about it. Like, what is this about? And my mom read that in my diary,
mm.
and then rained hellfire down on my sister.
Yeah,
So that was extremely formative.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing about this
I mean,
story.
like, I don't know what I was supposed to take away from that, but
Yeah,
I certainly did. Like, oh, if I ever do this, I can't tell anybody
yeah,
forever. Like, I can't write it down. I can't tell my friends. Like, I could do nothing. And so it wasn't very long after that that I reached a sexual maturity. And if I had had any conduit to talk about it,
mm,
like, I want to be very clear, it was not, there was nothing untoward about it. But I am a talker. I like to, kind of like work
mm,
through things. Um, and I was really lucky in the sense that I was very inexperienced, as was my partner.
mm,
And so there was that, like, kind of figured it out all at the same time, and like, okay, okay, all right, okay, cool. But once that door was open, I had no idea you could close it.
yeah,
Like, I had no idea about consent. I had no idea about what I was allowed to say no to. And
yeah,
the only person I'm talking to about it is the person I'm having sex with. And
yeah,
it's just like, it just becomes really isolating.
yeah.
Now, having had that very formative experience, I want to make sure that everything starts with consent and informed consent.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I'd like to do. What do you think? And I really think if you can't have that kind of conversation with the person you're about to have sex with, like, maybe you're not ready.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to make that decision for you. Like, I don't plan on doing that with any of my kids. Like, if you can't say these things to the partner that you're about to have sex with, maybe it's not the right time.
Yeah.
But that's me saying that. You make sure you get that enthusiastic consent and make sure you give it. And if anybody is not super on board with trying, you walk away and say, tip your hat.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Yeah. Stop what you're doing and
Yep.
chill out.
Yep. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay to, like, the idea you said, halfway through, somebody can say no.
Yeah.
Like, to this day, I don't think that's true. Like, I know it is, and
Yeah.
I feel nothing but safe in this house, in this relationship with you. But it's not, and it's not even like a sad thing. It's just like, that's not true.
Mm.
Once you get going,
The
you just
ball's
gotta,
rolling.
yeah, you just gotta wait it out. And that's so bad.
It's not ideal
Right?
for sure.
I know that's wrong now,
Yeah.
and I'm really grateful I know that's wrong now, because otherwise I would be teaching my kids the wrong thing.
Yeah.
It's like, once it starts going, that's it. You're dialed in, you're
Yeah.
locked in,
Well, and then that's it sucks to learn that one in the field.
yeah.
It's better to have that one ready to go.
Right. Some of my later sexual experiences, even with you, because I did not know about consent, there were times I crossed lines with you.
Yeah, once or twice. Yeah.
But like, in realizing it afterward, to be like, I can't, that's not allowed. Like, I know that's not okay.
Yeah.
And like, just figuring those things out when I was, what, like 32, it was so delayed and backwards, and like, just carried a lot of like shame about that kind of thing of like, how did you not know?
I mean, it's easy to know why you didn't know.
Yeah. What do you think about the idea, the concept, the construct of virginity?
To me, it's dumb. I think
Have you
it's
always felt that way?
no. I mean, I don't know. I didn't give it much thought when I was younger because to me, losing it was cool.
Right.
And so, like, the idea of having your virginity was bad. And so you needed to get rid of it as soon as you could, and so that you could be cool.
What is it?
What is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know what it was at the time? I mean, just the absence of having
The
had
absence
sex.
of having sex was, yeah, you were a virgin, which meant you did not have sex.
Mm.
You had sex, you are no longer a virgin.
Did you get it any more after you were no longer a virgin? Like, did you feel different?
Oh, did I feel different? No,
Yeah.
not really. No,
Huh.
nothing changed. Nothing became, an all-seeing version of myself or anything like that. It was just, yeah,
Touched the heavens.
it was just like, oh, okay, well that happened. It, it wasn't anything spectacular. What about you in virginity? Because for ladies, it's a little bit more
Yeah. I don't know
serious.
for sure. Growing up, it was certainly a thing.
Mm,
You know, you're a virgin until the day you get married, and then you never talk about sex again.
yeah.
Um, and for at the time, it was very important. It was, the most special thing that you had to give, and once you did, and it's gone, and something
Yeah.
about a sock or something. I don't know.
Did you have to do the whole flower thing? Was that a thing?
It was called a couple different
Mm,
things, like, flour and like chewed gum.
mm.
I think I heard, like somebody can't chew gum after it's already been chewed or something. I don't just
That sounds like a dude thing.
for the idea of feeling different afterwards. I was upset that I didn't,
Mm.
and
Yeah, because I could imagine the expectation put upon you
mhm.
would be a drastic difference, I would think.
What do you mean?
Like feeling a different way.
Oh, well, yeah, yeah. Like I expected,
Yeah.
and let's talk about the first time in general.
Mm.
It's awkward
It's very awkward, yeah.
when you're that young. I don't even think I have been completely naked in front of this person, and then all of a sudden, like,
Yeah.
here we go.
Mm.
And so you're just like, oh, okay. I had never seen a male body part like
Mm.
up close.
Yeah.
It was a lot to kind of fathom, like, think about. And so maybe I thought that that's what was different, of like, now I had this experience and I'm changed
Mm.
somehow. But I never went beyond that experience until I was almost 30. So it wasn't ever like, it was never something I felt moved by,
Yeah.
virginity or sex. Like,
Mm.
it was just a thing that was fun,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, and what's interesting is mechanically speaking, like when I was saying earlier, mechanically I knew what to do.
Right.
So I knew that foreplay was a thing,
Right.
and then I knew that different positions were a thing.
Yeah.
But
Good for you.
yeah, and when when it is your first time,
Yeah.
you have
And you have no window into
you've
anything
got
else.
goals, like you know what you're supposed to
I
do.
didn't.
Well, that's where I'm
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
Is that like I had goals and expectations, but your equipment has not been used in that way before, and so stuff is raring to go.
Yeah.
But for you, when you said that, like, I didn't know what porn was until I was 18, or it's like, well, so you had no frame of reference for priming and prepping and all of
No,
that
yeah,
sort of thing. Yeah,
no. And I mean, that became a thing,
yeah,
right? Like, when you're trying to figure it out in the field, it's like, oh, okay. All right.
yeah.
Okay. Well, and like, I don't I don't want to be anything about it,
Mm.
but that is something that I'm grateful for, that we both had the same experience level
Mhm.
at that point.
Sure.
It didn't stay that way, but at that point we both had the same experience level. So it was awkward and weird all the way around. Nobody had the upper hand in that situation. And that was something I was grateful for in that super early part of that relationship. Like, we learned everything kind of at the same pace until all of a sudden we didn't, which is a whole nother story.
Yeah.
There was a sort of comfort in knowing, like, well, if I'm messing up, so is he.
Sure.
Like,
Sure.
this is, if this is weird, or if this is kinky, like, who knows? I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so this is just normal to me. And it wasn't until way later that I was just like, oh, everybody's just a little bit weird.
Yeah.
Everybody's
Well,
got a
and
little thing that they like.
yeah, and like your experience was a little different than mine because you are with partners,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to have a discussion with them that's like, okay, I know this, like this is my knowledge level, where is your knowledge level at?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like a weird balancing expectation sort of a thing. It's like,
Right.
okay, well, you know more than me and I know more than you, and so we're there's a peak and a curve and a valley and all that sort of
Right.
thing.
Right.
So there's a weird dynamic that way sometimes too.
Yeah. I mean, I just remember it being odd.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't want to be disparaging, I
Yeah.
guess is the word. That's not what I mean to say at all. I guess I'm thinking of the me's that are out there,
Mm.
14, 15, 16, know nothing
Yeah.
in that same kind of little
Well,
bubble.
that's probably, well, I mean, maybe. I think that might be a little bit more difficult to do. Excuse me. A little bit more difficult to do nowadays.
Oh, to have that kind of shelteredness.
That shelteredness, yeah.
I hope so. I really hope so. I hope.
I think with how more outspoken everyone is,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, people our age are having kids,
Yeah.
and they're probably talking about that stuff a lot more
Yeah.
to their
Some
kid.
of my friends think I'm nuts.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well,
I
don't know.
mean, I don't care, but
Yeah.
hopefully, if my kid encounters your kid at some point in their lives, if the worst that happens is my kid goes out of their way to make sure this is what everybody wants to do, okay.
Yeah.
That you are uncomfortable that I do the enthusiastic consent dance every chance I get with the kids, sure.
Yeah.
But and that's the thing though, like, it extends to other areas too.
It does, yeah.
My oldest, when her dad had a baby,
Mm.
like, she would send me pictures
Yeah.
of the baby, and I sent him a message that said, like, I don't know if you know this is happening, I just want to let you know she's sending me pictures of her kid, they're fine, like, yay kid, but I just wanted to let you know that. And he was just like, no, she asked me, and I was like,
Yeah. Well,
thank
and
you.
yeah, and the youngest one, not the baby, but the youngest one,
Mhm.
going to school and wanting to hug someone, and then asking them, "Is it okay if I hug you?" And them saying
Yes.
yes or no, and yeah,
Yeah, and just not being offended when they say no.
yeah,
It's like, okay, cool. Fist bump,
yeah,
or just like shoulder shrug in your
yeah.
direction. We got to give them something more.
It can't be scary.
It can't be
It
scary
can't be,
because everybody at some point or another will have a sexual experience in some form or fashion.
yeah,
And there's no reason it can't be fun
yeah,
because it's kind of fun when you're doing it well, and when you kind of hit your stride, like,
yeah. Once you figure it all out, it's pretty fun.
yeah.
It takes some doing, but
How long did it take you to get good at it?
I mean, my first time was I was 18,
Mm-hmm.
and then military happened. There wasn't a whole lot of that going on in there, but I didn't get good until, well, and then I got out, and then there was a 4-year period of the sads, and then I had to figure that all out again. It took a while
It took a
before
while.
I got good, like 20, I don't know, 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I have no idea.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know if there was a, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I had one partner until I was almost 30, and then that changed, and
Yeah.
I never got any negative reviews, I
Mm.
guess you could say. So like, yeah, at that point, it just kind of like I've told you this before. It clicked in my head like, oh, that's this is not a big deal. Like
Yeah.
it's not this thing that I was always told that it was. It was, I don't want to say mechanical, but like,
I mean, it is
it's
to a
a
certain extent.
it's a thing that you're doing, and if you've had like if you've done it 10 times, you could do it 100 times.
Sure.
That sounds stupid. I feel
No,
like that kind of sounds stupid. Like
no.
learning to ride a bike.
Yeah. Once you know,
Once you hit that stride.
yeah, once you've got the idea down,
Yeah.
it's all pretty much the same.
Right.
You just have to make sure everybody's on board.
Right. Everybody goes home happy.
Hmm. Hopefully.
Hopefully. That's
Yeah.
the goal. I mean, and if I don't know how you feel about this, but if that's not the goal for me
Hmm.
for sex. That's stupid.
For everybody to go home happy?
Well, I feel like you can go home happy without having touched the sun.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, because that
Our
certainly happened.
yeah, our viewpoints on that are a little different just because I think from we've talked about this from an
Mhm.
experience standpoint, there were expectations.
Yeah.
The male finish line is pretty cut and dry.
Right.
The female finish line is a little difficult, or it's not difficult. It's a little
It's just different. Yeah.
different to traverse.
Right.
And everybody's a little different.
Yes.
And so, if what's the easiest way to say this?
I know.
If the expectations of both parties are off,
Yeah.
then that can
That's
can
true.
be a
Yeah.
problem.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I just I would want to be clear that I enjoy to who I'm having sex with,
Mhm.
you, David, my husband, not my
Yeah.
brother. The like I enjoy sex.
Yeah.
Like I am a sexual person. I know this about myself. I have zero qualms with just having sex.
Yeah.
Like if I don't get to the finish line, I've still been in a race. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
Like you
yeah.
can still climb a mountain. If you don't reach the top, you can still stop and look around and be like, this is fucking great.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. I've told you that before. This
Mhm.
isn't like brand new information.
Right.
This is brand new information. I'm gonna put that meme up because that is the funniest part, I think, of the entire series of Friends.
That is brand new information.
Was that Phoebe?
Mm-hmm. All right, final thoughts
Mhm.
on sex and virginity and consent and fun and touching the sun.
Yeah. Virginity is dumb. You shouldn't worry about that one.
Yeah.
Consent is probably the major point to get across.
Just communicating.
Yeah, communicating. Touching the sun is pretty fun.
True.
You should strive for that. If it doesn't happen sometimes, that's okay.
Yeah.
Um,
There's nothing wrong with you,
correct, yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with your partner.
With your partner
They
as well.
don't
Yeah.
owe you an orgasm. Let's
Right.
be very clear. Nobody walks into there like, if I don't leave with one,
Yeah.
you suck at sex. Like, no, it's not how that works.
Yeah. What are your views, thoughts, opinions on all that stuff?
I mean, sex is great.
Mhm.
I'm a fan. Consent is the most important thing that I didn't know for way too long. I hope to do better for our kids. Virginity, in my head, it doesn't exist. And anybody that puts that sort of pressure on others, I think, is borderline criminal.
Mm.
Like, why do you care? But are you are you asking me about my sex life? Like, like I just want somebody to come back and be like, "Oh, are you a virgin?" Like that's wildly inappropriate. We used to do that to the pop stars,
Well, yeah.
like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera and Jessica Simpson. Like, are you a virgin? Like I'm singing pop songs about like breaking hearts and stuff. I mean, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Am I a
I'm
virgin?
singing things that someone more than likely wrote for me to
Yeah.
sing about.
For sure. And you want to whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's very dumb. I'm sad that I ever put any sort of stock in it, and I hope the next generation is just incrementally better. about all of that stuff than we are or were.
Like I said, I think that they are, which is good.
Yeah. So real quick,
Side rant.
side rant. We were taught more about safe sex than we were consensual sex.
Yeah, safe
That's
sex.
a problem.
I mean, truth be told, I don't recall hearing about consensual sex.
At all.
Yeah.
At all. But we heard a lot about safe sex.
Yeah.
There are sex ed videos that show a young gentleman asking a lady, and she's just like, I don't think we're ready. Do you? And he's just like, that means try harder. And I'm like, no, that's what that means to them on that couch. Oh my gosh. Like, no, that means she doesn't want to have sex with you. She just is uncomfortable and not ready to talk about it.
Yeah.
She's
Well,
feeling
I mean,
already the pressure.
Yeah, when we were younger, that's what that meant.
No meant try harder.
Yeah.
No. No means no. Stop means stop. Helps means help.
Yeah.
Like, oh Lord. I think this was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how it turns out.
Yeah. We'll see.
I think it'll be interesting. I'll have to put a content warning on it.
Yeah. Mom and Dad, please don't watch.
Anywho, well, we will see you all next week.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for watching.
Yep.
And yeah, like, share, and
Like, share, and subscribe.
like Sharon. Subscribe. We just want one subscriber named Sharon. If your name is Sharon, drop it in the comments. Go have good, consensual, safe sex, everyone.
Yep.
Enjoy.
Enjoy.